Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Today, we are going to talk to Andre de Wet, the CEO of PriceCheck.co.za. He's both the CEO and he was also .co.za. And the cool thing about Andre, they won the best app in 2013 internationally. Not just South Africa, not just America, globally. Out of 100, was it 500,000 apps or? Out of 150,000 apps from basically every country around the world, they won. PriceCheck.co.za in Cape Town won the best app. They also won the MTN awards, and they're also the 5th biggest website or most visited traffic website in South Africa. So guys, can you please stand? Give a massive round of applause. There we go. Come on, guys. Out of your chairs. Massive round of applause to Andre de Wet. Woo! Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Take a seat. Let's get that out of your way.
Thank you kindly. That's fantastic.
Let me switch this thing off. So, Andre, thank you for coming and speaking us, taking your time out.
You're very welcome, sir.
Now, every startup grind, we always start from the very beginning. Where were you born?
Johannesburg.
Josie.
Yes,
You're
I'm
a
a
Josie
Joburg
boy.
Yeah.
Nice, I like that. And where did you go to school?
Afrikaans Boys High.
Okay, so it's Afrikaans means.
So yeah, I was just across the road from Elon Musk. So it's not that special.
Okay,
He was in Boys High.
He was in Boys High.
Yeah.
That's actually more Pretoria, isn't it?
Yeah, I was in Pretoria High School.
Pretoria High School, okay.
Grew up in Joburg.
Okay, cool.
North of Joburg.
And why are you in Cape Town?
Why not? It's a very, by far this is the best place to be. But actually what happened is about 4.5 years ago, I came back from Singapore. I'd been living in Singapore for 2 years. I was running a financial company. It was we were issuing Visa and MasterCard into Southeast Asia. And I'd been there for 2 years. Before that, London, 5. And I left London because the weather sucks. And then I went to Singapore, and after 2 years, I'm like, can I just go to people that look like me and sound like me? My kind of problems. So I came back to South Africa about 4 years
You understand
ago.
the landscape here.
Yes. And when I came back, I was like, Cape Town's the place to come to.
You love Cape Town.
I do, for a few reasons, from the lay of the land, but having a entrepreneurial or kind of startup mentality. Cape Town's very powerful in this. I went through it in Joburg in 99, 2000.
Yeah.
But Joburg is now the Datas and the ISs. They all kind
Big
of
companies.
they survived through that. Now your startup environment, and I had a talk about this a while back after I went to San Francisco in the beginning of the year, and I took a look at it. We have a phenomenal dynamic here. We've got a varsity, Stellenbosch. You've got Technopark, where people are developing things. There's Cape Town itself, where people are developing things. There's this tremendous ecosystem, and I can go into this into quite detail, why I believe that we don't want to replicate Silicon Valley,
Yeah, sure.
but there's this keenness to do things, and I think this is why we're here as well, is the entrepreneurial spirit burns very strongly, yeah? And that itself excites
So if
me.
you had to start a startup, you would do it in Cape Town, not in Joburg.
Yeah, by far, hands
By far.
down.
Tweet that, people. Get that Joburg. So now tell us your parents. What did they do? Let's take us right back to the beginning.
My dad's my dad passed about 4 years ago, so but he was a stockbroker and also entrepreneur.
Okay.
But he was born kind of a generation too early. From that point of view, his thinking was always, you've got to go and join a company. And some of you know the story, but I started studying med school, and after my third year, I read a book from Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. And I also realized that as a doctor, you work as a mechanic, sick people. It's a royal calling, I know. I stopped studying med school, and my dad said, come back home and get a job like a normal person. So, but he's the guy that stimulated me to do all kinds of things. The entrepreneurial gene wasn't in me at school, but my dad was always stimulating me. I had a camera, and I'm really going to date myself. I had a dark room at home. And I used to take photos at school, and I was really short, and the camera was pretty taller, bigger than I was. And then I'd sell the photos back to the athletes. And then he used to travel a lot, so then he bought tape decks, and those that you could do 2 tape decks. So I'd copy everything and sell it back to the guys at the hostel. And so those type of things. And then my mom is a math teacher. She's one of the brighter math brains. Anybody that in Joburg, when you in star schools in the back of the newspaper, you used to get the matric exams. My mom was involved in writing those.
Oh,
yeah.
That's very interesting.
So she lives in Wilderness now and walks on the beach every day.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really, that's nice. That's a nice life. Now, after school, you decided to do medicine?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I got in.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason.
It's
I mean,
really
doctors
true.
make lots of money, so and if you can get in, why not, right?
Hey, everyone wants to be Mevrou Doctor,
After 3 years, you were like, med school, no, this is not us. This is this, and you left.
Yes,
You read the book, you were like, profound moment, I'm out of here.
I'll tell you a story. In August of my third year, and my mother hates this. The other day she was looking at some other thing that I'd done on NetProf, and she said, I never knew any of those stories. You never told me of them. And I'm like, Mom, just bear with me. Because in August of my third year, I had a bursary, and by the third of the month, we'd gone to Tabanshu and gambled everything out. And I was like stuck for money. I'm like, ooh, fuck. So the bank gave me a credit card. I drove up to Joburg, went to a flea market there, and they sold leather or jean jackets that were made out of the back of jeans. It was very popular, and they had these patches and things.
Yeah,
And I bought about 20 of them, drove back, because I realized one thing, students all have money.
Really?
Yeah, God, yeah. And especially, now you're going to laugh at me with this, but I was at Varsity in Bloemfontein, okay?
In
Old
Bloem?
place, yes.
Well, there's nothing else you can spend your money on. That's why.
Exactly, and daddy's a farmer.
Okay, right.
En my kinders moet bietjie geld hê, so they'd all have cash. I was looking at this and I'm like, yeah, wait a minute, some of that has to come here. And
It's coming to this back pocket.
we took these jackets, and I went to go and get 2 or 3 girls, and they modeled these jackets for me. I think it took us 4 days to sell out. We went to all the hostels. Every hostel we went to, quick organized with a student council, and then sold these things. And I thought, hey, I'm in a great wicket here. I'm going to become a multi-millionaire of jean jackets. My dad's like, none of that. And my dad's Afrikaans. And he's like, jy maak heeltemal te veel kaka onder. Come home. And probably I think after I stopped studying, my dad for 10 years, look, it's not that he didn't speak to me, but he was like, what are you doing? The best classic line is, and this is why I say my dad was born a generation too early, he says, wat gaan ek vir my vriende sê doen jy? And that's so classic parents,
classic.
you know.
Oh gosh. Okay, so dropped out of med school and you started your own business, or?
No. So I then went back. My dad said, come back. And what happened is I then joined a pharmaceutical company because I'd been doing 3 years of med school.
Okay.
And so I became a pharmaceutical rep. And I was there.
Pills, yeah.
And after about 3 months, one morning I was driving. They'd given me a 1300 Corolla. It was in the Highveld. It was winter. I was cold. I was miserable. And it was 7:30 and I was in traffic. And I was like, I gave up med school for this? And just right there and then, I don't know if it's that day, I mean, one doesn't remember these things, but very soon after that, I found a newspaper and I started going through them. And there was a very enticing advert, really motivating advert. that said, guys that have got startup and excitement, etc. And it was a very attractive ad. And the people that I went to go and interview, it was in the middle of Joburg. And you're going to really laugh at me now. It was to sell encyclopedias door to door. But an interesting thing is that the people that I was interviewing with were more important, and they were more motivating, and I'm still friends with them now, than I've seen. The one guy comes from New Zealand, and they had this team, and a regiment of stuff, what's the word I'm looking for, is a structure of how a business was done. Every single day we'd train the pitch, we'd come in at lunchtime, train the pitch, and then we'd go out and make appointments. And now we learned there how the basis works of a handover. Why is a handover important? Is if you want to make an appointment with someone, phone them up, and what we used to do this door to door. So you'd go and you'd say, you know what, we're speaking to people in the area that have got kids up to 10 years old. Do you have kids or not? So you lead them. The sales process there was very, very cleverly done, because you'd lead people in right up to a point where they say, yeah, I do have time tomorrow for an appointment, or the day after. Great, we're only here for the next 2 days. So we can see you tomorrow at 7 or the next evening at 8. What would suit you the best? All these standard sales, man, I can do these things in my sleep, because they trained us in all of this. And I started going selling encyclopedias door to door. I think I've probably door knocked most of South Africa. Funnily enough, I read an article the other day about door knocking is the entry to being a billionaire.
Well,
And there was an article
this is good.
about
Good
a
for you.
guy that sold Collier's encyclopedias that is now a billionaire in America. And then I was there for 9 months. I think I still hold the record. I sold 5 sets in one night
5 sets.
of encyclopedias.
That's impressive.
It's so
That's not
classic.
cheap either. Eh?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was so weird. The whole basis around the business of encyclopedias, it's about finance. It's not about books. All you want to do is talk people into financing this thing over the next 24 months.
Oh, that's
$50 or $100 a month. For them, that's great. The finance. I think the guy that ran that thing, he sold out after about 4 years. He's been sailing around the world now for 10 years. This is the last story I heard. Just by all the finance that he makes out of that they made that back in the day.
Yo.
Um,
And then, okay, you sold your first business at 27.
Yeah. Now, what happened after this is then I ran into got to know a mate of mine, and he'd built or he'd been involved in an educational business where we teach kids how to learn, and changing how the whole dynamic works about learning, about changing numbers into pictures and all that type of structure, because your brain works in pictures and not in numbers and in words. That's a discussion for another day, and you can come and have a chat to me about that, how the basis around that worked. But I then decided to go on my own, and we took the technique of door-to-door selling into educational selling. And we then grew that into offices in Bloemfontein, Joburg, and in Pretoria.
Well, okay.
And then in 93, Chris Hani got shot. And we were like, nah, is there going to be a civil war? But it was at that time also that my senior management were keen to take over the business. And then I moved to Bloemfontein Strand.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, far away from everything.
Yes, yeah, very much. At that time, I date myself every day. Yeah. So that time, Bloemfontein Strand was really small. There was none of that traffic coming this way because Parklands didn't exist.
Okay, so that educational company was your company.
Yes.
You started with your
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, with a mate. Two of us in a little office in Hillbrow. That's where it started.
It's incredible.
When it was still safe to go there, I wouldn't even drive
So
through
this
there
was
now.
the whole civil war. When you moved to then that's when you decided to sell the business. and
Yeah, it was
take
about the
off.
right time. It
Okay.
was incrementally. The guys were like, my senior management, they were keen to take over, and I was ready to move, and it was kind of time to get
Got
out
to
of
end of it,
time
okay.
to get going.
So you went off to Boerberg. You sat there for like
9
a year,
months.
9 months,
Mm.
walking off, living the life.
Completely.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then
Very much. And then we started getting in. It was very much a bachelor house, or I like to call it the less than zero house. If you saw the movie, you'll understand. I won't go into it any further. But we used to let me say we had
You
parties
were
there.
young, you had money, you were in Bloberg.
Yes, it's a
get it.
terrible thing. You have
Yeah.
ego, and we used to have a tattoo artist at our parties. There's still girls walking around with like a half a dolphin on the scour somewhere. And
Why go to the tattoo parlor? Bring her here for every party.
no, yeah, come to a Saturday night, come and have some drinks. Because but the tattoo artist would also have a few drinks. So at the end of the night, things are like a little skiff. The next morning, it's like, yeah,
Skiff.
kind of not where you got
They
it.
skiffed it out, right?
And then I had two of my friends that were so it was this beautiful house in Bloberg, looking out over the beach, and two lounges. It was a really lovely place. And they'd come from abroad. They'd been selling timeshare in Mallorca and in Spain.
Okay.
And so what we did is we started taking over the timeshare sales. And we used to use a technique called an OPC system, is where you go around to people and ask them questions. We're just doing a survey of you today, sir. And see, this is what you could do. Every day I'm hustling. So what we did is you'd go up to people and say, are you on holiday, and ask a question. So when you see a couple, you ask a few questions. The only two questions that really count is, do you have a credit card, and are you married? If those two are ticked, then you open up a bag and say, we have a lucky draw today. But the bag had a false center. If people answered the wrong questions, you'd open this side and draw. And they draw, and no prize. If they draw the right question, you open this side, and there's a first prize in there. And then everybody has to come and listen to Timeshare. And so you'd go through all the pictures, and we sold Monkey Valley, we sold Dolphin Beach, we did up the coast at a point in time, and then and Dolphin Beach, we still hold the record for the most timeshare sold in this country in 1 month. There's 85 weeks of timeshare. Back in the day, and so from there, what we did is then mobile phones came into the market, and I got involved in the mobile phone game, and we were quite excited about it, and I got really way too clever for my boots, and there were guys that were promising us phones to be able to import, and I went to some of the big dealers, and I signed a deal with them to be able to sell the things, and then I went overseas, and the phones weren't there, and there were penalty clauses and everything, and a couple of months later, I found myself in a small little back room in Joburg with, the car was nice. It was an old Ford V6 Capri. It was lots of power, but it was old.
And that was your car.
Yes.
That's where you're living.
That was tons of fun. But so restart right at the bottom again.
Yo.
Yeah, nothing.
And that's when you got into the mobile game.
Yeah, well, we got into mobile. I got into mobile then.
Burnt your fingers.
And burnt my fingers. And then I went to do a few interesting, weird, and wonderful things. I did.
You were fishing, trying different things.
Yeah. I did. We tried a marathon on Kilimanjaro. We did.
A marathon on Kilimanjaro.
Seriously, we're gonna have the guys run up and down 16 hours, everything around it. I got involved in kiteboarding then. I do it now quite a lot. So really, that's one of the things I love in Cape Town. And I got involved we did the kiteboard pro tour. We did the wakeboard worlds in Sun City.
Yo.
And every now and again when I think back about a few things there that was weird and wonderful. And then I got involved with a business with my brother-in-law, where we brought the first software as a service to South Africa. Way too early because we were still on dial-up, so it was way too early.
Yeah, this Microsoft Word is taking a while to load.
It didn't grasp it all. But we then also got into the mobile space and became a WASP, which is a wireless application service provider. And we were looking about and discussing it the other day, is we were the first company worldwide to write the first premium rated MMS service by combining premium rated SMS and MMS. So you could send a premium rated SMS in, it would come to our server, it would look at all the stuff, and then send an MMS out.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we were the first guys, and from there I moved to the UK and started consulting on that.
So the guys that would want to advertise for their store, you'd send in a competition, your SMS, and then you get back a picture. How did it?
Yeah, we went into adult.
Right. Of course, that's the innovation of the world, right?
The guys got to 300,000 requests a month after 4 months at 10 Rand an SMS.
Yo. Hey, the porn industry. Gotta love us, guys.
That's the thing that
We watch Silicon Valley, right? There we go.
everywhere that type of stuff works. But yeah, soon after that, I then left to go to the UK.
Okay. What did you do in the UK? Tell us your story.
UK, I was also kind of finding my feet in a few areas, and then started going, because we built mobile stuff, yeah, we started going into mobile commerce, and the online arena started learning about e-commerce, and it was just kind of exploding there. And then I was on the tube one day, and I saw an advert for a prepaid MasterCard. And a prepaid MasterCard works like a MasterCard. You don't need credit, but you can use it on any rail. So you can go and rent a car, you can buy an airline ticket, you can shop online. And I looked at this thing and I thought to myself, you know what? This is how we could do a tremendous amount of stuff in Africa.
Yeah.
And with that, I found the guys that were doing it, went to their office in London, and as an entrepreneur, do yourself a favor. If you need to speak to someone, pick up the phone, go somewhere. Don't email. I have this running argument with my staff is that the thing on your desk is not a paperweight, it's a phone. Pick it up. Guys, it's more important to take 3 hours to have a 5-minute face-to-face with someone than to try and just skip something away. But I got the rights for Africa for this prepaid card company in 2007. I was just trying to date myself now.
Okay.
And put then a business case around it, because I realized that this could really work very well, because you could put people's salary on a prepaid card.
Yeah.
And we raised then 3 million rand. Started working with my brother. He was in South Africa.
Yeah.
We raised 3 million rand.
From who?
My brother got it from venture capitalist.
Okay.
South African venture capitalist.
Yeah.
And
was people that he knew, or did he go around talking to venture capitalists that he knew? Or?
No, guys in South Africa.
Yeah, no, but how did you get hold of them?
It was just friends and
Okay,
family,
okay.
yeah, so not family, but just people that he'd know that he knew.
Okay.
I'd been writing the business plans, and he then
Approached them with the business
he
model
approached them with the business plan, and got involved in that. Or he then raised them the money.
Okay.
And we built this thing up, and every now and again I hear stories from the banks out of payments come and they say they were watching us closely. And I'll tell you now why it didn't work in the end. But they were looking at this, and there were 4 of us. We were just 4 guys, and the bank said, because we went to all of the big 4, and they were like, nobody's going to give us any a bank license. You needed a bank license to issue a card. But they completely shut themselves, closed themselves up, as they do, and they were watching us, and they said they were quite surprised that 4 guys were actually going to pull this off. Because what we did then is we went to Bank of Athens and we got an extension of license, because we met with MasterCard, and the guy there explained to us, if you can get an extension of license from another country, we'll be able to give it to you. We got an extension of license out of Greece. But we got an extension of license to be able to issue out of Greece, because they had 1 branch here. And so the MasterCard license could work. And then in 2008, the crash happened, and the guys that were the backing behind our processor, which sat in the UK, went bust. And then we lost our processor, and from there it spiraled kind of out of control.
Okay. And then tell us about the PriceCheck.
And then, from there I was then I headhunted into Singapore.
Okay.
And then after Singapore, came here, and
So you were 2 years in Singapore.
yes.
Okay.
And then I came to join Naspers, actually, because I knew one of the guys on LinkedIn. Guys, LinkedIn, very important. Use
it.
Works like a bomb. Very, very well connected. But my God, please don't spam people. Every now and again, somebody connects, and then an hour later, how can we sell all this stuff to you, please? And, we're really going to match. And I'm like, please, really. LinkedIn's not for spamming, it's for connecting.
Yeah.
And they then, what's the name? I then connected and then joined Naspers in a payment space. And while I was there in my first 2 months, I realized, actually, I'm not a big corporate player, but I realized that if you're not the head of something, you get lost in the noise. and PriceCheck came up. As you guys know, Kevin Tucker, was a Cape Townian entrepreneur that sold it to Naspers. He'd kind of been working through his exit and was leaving. And they said, like, can somebody, they'd like to have somebody take over PriceCheck. And I had initially looked at it, and then they actually asked me. They like where my head was at, and the type of, and there's no focus on it. Nobody's looking at it. Would you want to take PriceCheck over and see if you do something with it, you can shoot out the lights? Because it's the smallest, e-commerce play. At that stage, there were about 15 e-commerce different. MIH was quite busy in this field. And that's when the PriceCheck at that point was 4 people.
4 people?
Yeah.
How many do you have employed today?
41.
41. How do you choose your employees?
That's a very, one of the crucial things is you find people that fit in the culture of the company. As we've employed and grown people, we've made sure that we don't, some people are really well qualified, but I interview 3 times. And every time with different people, to make sure that
you interview with them.
So it might be the
business developer,
business development owner, a head of mobile or head of dev or whatever. They'd interview, then somebody completely out of a different division would interview, so that we make sure that there's a cultural match as well. Okay. It's very important for us, and that works very well. We've had very, very little churn of staff. And people work like a team. They feel as though they belong. I share most things with them, so there's a tremendous amount of stuff that I share with people, and make them part of the
So you communicate a lot with everybody, the whole team.
Once a week,
so
everybody
you spam your
come
whole
together.
Team with emails.
No, I get them together. What I laugh is in the beginning I used to take them for lunch every Friday. Not anymore.
That's sort of getting a bit out of hand.
Now it's once every 2 or 3 months.
Okay, and what is the best advice you've ever received?
If you're at a place, be there.
Okay.
What we do is we're not at a place. We're sitting doing something else. I got it from a guy called Jim Rowan. This is one I'd forgotten.
Oh.
In 1995, 94. Yes, 95, I was back in Joburg. Joined Herbalife.
Oh, you do Herbalife?
I did Herbalife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I did very well.
You're a salesman?
Yeah. 1,500 people in my downline in 3 months.
Just wait a second. That's a lot.
Built this thing like, and
but you put all your effort into
There's
that.
a formula, that put all my effort into it, and there's a formula
you didn't do
follow
part-time or anything like it?
Nothing. I was like, once again, looking around for something.
And you used your sales experience to...
And we used the handover thing again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
And
you still use that today in PriceCheck?
No, not specifically, but I use it in some areas. But no, it'll pop up again.
Okay.
But what we did with Herbalife is an interesting thing that I learned there. This, if you're at a place, be there, comes from a guy called Jim Rowan. That's ROHN. Do yourself a favor, go and YouTube him, go and take something out. He's one of the brightest. Tony Robbins trained under him. He trained under Napoleon Hill. And a lot of these motivational speakers all trained under Jim Rowan. He's really spectacular. Go and listen to him a little. And the stuff that he says, some of the wisest words. And one was, if you're at a place, be
present.
There. Yeah, be present.
Look them in the eye, converse with them.
Yeah, be there. Bring your focus to that to that place.
You might actually remember the experience. Yeah.
Exactly.
What is coming to PriceCheck, how did you get the information, in other words, the prices, from your different suppliers or your different...
Oh, yeah, that's kind of more technical stuff.
Yeah.
But guys, what we do there is we just plug into the e-commerce back end of PriceCheck.
So, but I know some of the stores are kind of brick and mortar.
That's the new development. This is where we're going now.
Oh, is it the new one? Okay.
So the older stuff, or what we used to do is, or what we do is with online stores, we just plug into the shopping cart.
API or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a plug in into Magenta or whatever the shopping cart is, and then bring all of that information onto PriceCheck. And it's this chicken and egg. We've got so much information that we have enough to be able to give you a competitive price of where things are, and a good store to shop in. But about 18 months ago, I started looking at the market, and I realized that the future of commerce and e-commerce in South Africa is moving to mobile.
Okay.
And what's the difference between mobile and online shopping is that we have so much
So
more than
what's
we
the
can
difference
do.
between M-commerce and e-commerce?
Yes.
What is
yes.
the difference?
Well,
Okay.
M-commerce is shopping on is buying on a mobile. So I'm
Okay.
actually transacting.
Okay.
We start playing around now with the thing of everywhere commerce,
Okay.
so that
You see
everywhere
it on
I
the
am,
desktop, you buy it on the phone, you order it on
yes.
the, and it's across
So
the
I can
tablet.
do
Okay.
all of it. But if you look at the figures, less than 1% of retail happens online.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
We're
So,
trying to
but
understand that's
40 to
right.
50% of the buying decision is made on desktop or on mobile. And this is where we need to be. So what we're now doing is changing the focus a little, that I can find any product I'm looking for on mobile, and I will show you where you can find it close by.
Okay.
I call it the
Geotag.
Uberification of shopping, because I know where you are, and I know where the product is. Now suddenly I can start doing things. I can add vouchers and coupons to make sure that you go to that store, or maps how to get there. So there's a range of interesting things how we can start playing around this. Suddenly it takes the borders away. Now I can start playing e-commerce in Kenya that doesn't have any online stores. Well, they have very, very few. But so I can go into the retail environment of an area that doesn't have it. So it's going to be an interesting play to see how we roll out with this thing and run with it. We've got some really good parties that we've signed up with that are preloading our stuff that we're very excited about.
Now you said a new play is the offline stuff,
yeah.
and you're getting third parties to give that information in, or
Yeah.
okay. And then how do you monetize PriceCheck? How do you make money?
Well, PriceCheck, the standard online play of PriceCheck is we're just a Google for for products.
Okay.
So for normal click fees, so cost per click, like so Google AdWords.
Okay,
I'm
so
just
you're
lots of
doing
Google AdWords.
Okay, so you like Google AdWords. So if the click comes through to their like Loot or through to one of the other stores, they actually pay you per click
Correct.
coming through.
Yes.
Okay. And has there ever been a time when you've had a discrepancy with the price on your site with the price on their site?
It happens.
And then how do you resolve those kind of things? Is there a process and a policy?
Look,
you go through?
on the site we've got T's and C's saying, absolving us.
Okay.
But every now and again, it becomes a little bit of an issue, and then we say to the client, you know what, we'll fix it for you. And we either pay the difference or buy them the product. It's small things like that I'm not going to get upset about.
Okay, we've got a question from Slido. Do you think it is useful for entrepreneurs to work in corporate for some of their working life, or to understand corporate culture and learn from others, etc.?
I was looking at that question earlier, and it's an interesting question because it's got both sides of the coin. You find a tremendous amount of entrepreneurs, and your bigger entrepreneurs, I think, who's the guy? Yanni Basson. He was in corporate till about 45. And then went on his own and started PSG and now Kuros, what's the school? Kuro. Yeah. And a few others. So he comes out of a corporate environment. There's a tremendous amount of guys that learn a lot out of corporate and then start their own businesses. CAs that develop through businesses and then get involved and see the value of a business and then buy into it and build it higher. So it's an understanding of it from a high level type scenario. So you've got to take a look do you want to get involved as an entrepreneur in a big corporate type business that you grow as an entrepreneur? Or are you going to be an entrepreneur and, hustle and do things on the side? My corporate time was very good for me. It still is. I enjoy that. The beauty about it, probably one of the nicest things about NicePash is they've always allowed us to do whatever we want.
So you've been like an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Okay.
They very much give you, as long as you deliver what you say you will, you've kind of got carte blanche to run with it.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Gives you a lot of space to do what you want. And I suppose that's the success of PriceCheck at the end of the day. What is next on the horizon for you?
I'm always looking at different things. PriceCheck's development now is getting to a point where suddenly we really want to get big. I believe that we can build PriceCheck across the African continent.
Okay.
Taking mobile, taking interesting plays in the commerce arena, taking the offline arena. We've now just finalized building a product where somebody that is offline can create a digital presence without actually building a website. So a guy in a little spaza shop at the foot of Kilimanjaro can appear on PriceCheck without building a website. Until it's live, I'm not going to go into too much detail. But that means that anybody that is then close to him can find him on mobile. I don't have to put any e-commerce across Africa. I can just roll this thing out.
But now that's for smartphones that got GPS and stuff like that. But Africa's penetration of smartphones, is it high enough?
Big. It's
Okay,
growing.
is it
Kenya, not one of the mobile operators sell a feature phone anymore.
Oh, really?
All of Kenya, just smartphones.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. Nigeria is going to do 25 million smartphones this year. PEP, I think, is going to distribute 5 million smartphones.
So the whole thing
in South
about
Africa.
focusing on feature phones for Africa is kind of starting to phase out.
I'm not even going to go.
Okay.
We're not even going there. You know, it's. If you want to capitalize on it right now, yeah, there are a lot of feature phones.
Okay.
I'm looking at the future.
Look at the future.
Yeah, and the reason for that, Guy, is that everybody in the world, and when I was in San Francisco, we spoke to Apple as well. They don't even see Africa at this point in time. Some of them do, and they're starting to wake up. It's this massive potential that's coming because they were all going India, and shares in Indian companies are now expensive.
Yeah.
Eastern Europe is great, and Eastern Europe is very far advanced in e-commerce, but not so much mobile commerce. America, I think 2% of people do mobile shopping or something like that. It's really small. Strangely enough, the
as in
mobile,
on their phone.
yeah,
okay.
on their phone.
You mean they'd rather do it on their desktop or something, or laptop or something? Okay.
The Asian market is very closed off. So
Okay,
it's nearly impossible to get in there.
Okay.
And I believe that in the next 2 to 5 years, possibly, big players, Google, Amazon, etc., are going to start taking a look at Africa. And so if you can be the person if you can be the default search or the default something for people to come and do in Africa, what you want to do then is have one of the big boys pick you up.
Like you want people, your trip overseas recently, are you looking to exit PriceCheck?
No.
Not at all.
Okay. No,
And
we're not
you
doing that.
yourself, because you're saying PriceCheck they want to go big and international, and you yourself,
Yeah, myself as well. I want to take that.
you want to stay with PriceCheck and
Well, the whole vision about taking mobile price discovery, product discovery into the African market lies very close to my heart. You know,
Okay.
over the last 4 years, I've built it from a very small, one of the smaller sites to, we do
Massive.
nearly 2.5 million visits a month now.
wow.
Online and on mobile. So it's an exciting time. Now we've got to tip it. Now we're going to run with this thing. So we'll see where that goes. That's the debate that is now going on.
Okay, I like that. Okay, one other question here. Do you think everything you do prepares you for your break? Do you have any regrets?
What break?
I don't know. The breach. Melissa?
Oh, the
your
big break.
big break.
Oh no, I have a lot of big breaks. I'm actually this is going to lead me to an interesting answer to this one because I made some notes here, and it's about. I specifically brought this book.
You see, he knows his market, right?
The big break happens the whole time. If you're an entrepreneur, not if you're an entrepreneur, you all are. Nah, but and sometimes I thought to myself, I'm more of the academic, more of the corporate, and after a while you realize that if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with an idea, and I now sleep with a notepad next to my bed because I really do still wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a new concept and a new idea. And the whole basis around this is Steve Jobs put it beautifully. He said creative people, what they do is they just know how to put things together. So a few things that I can say is what you've got to do is keep reading, keep watching the movies. Go and find that one line in the movie that inspires you. Because small things, I want to tell you about small wins that I had as I went into my entrepreneurial thing that one forgets because you talk about these big businesses and it's the small things that you also got to do. You guys will remember, and Daddy's Deals is an interesting one being the sponsor here, is that a few years ago, or not that long ago, very much in Groupon and all of these deal sites, the Mandela coins were the big thing. Okay? Who all bought the Mandela coin? Yeah, you wouldn't put up your hand now. But I was sitting one night and I looked at this thing and I saw these Mandela coins come up and I'm like, something doesn't make sense here. Took me, and they were selling for $750 or $900. No, 1,200. They started at 1,200.
1,200.
Yes, and it was just clever media campaigning around it. So they started writing articles that one of them had sold for R250,000, and the grading was this and that and the next thing. And there was this very clever media campaign that had been built around it. I started playing around online, and I was searching for things, and then I realized that you could buy them for $150. Still can. And I
Like
looked at this.
legit ones or copies?
No, legit.
Oh.
No, fully legit.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no. And graded in a little box, the whole
The
song and
works,
dance.
okay.
Alles. That thing's worth $5.
So get about it.
But it's pretty, and it's in a little box. I know, I got about 20 at home. And they started off at 1,200. I think they're now selling at $250. Every deal site's going to kill me after this. No. And I looked at this and I said, wait a minute, $150, people are selling it for 1,200 rand. And then I looked and I think they sold 600 of them. You do the math. I think the first guys that sold that made 350,000 rand in a day. I said, wait a minute, he's a business, he's a fucking plan.
Kom, maak 'n plan, boetie.
Started looking for these things, started playing them, found a bunch, found the guys from Daddy's Deals actually went to go and see them, and we sold, in one day, made 45,000 rand wat ek in my gatsak gedruk het. By looking around at stuff. The other thing that I did
Keep your
is,
eyes open for the opportunities.
yes,
There we go.
constant. So that, those are the breaks. Those are the breaks that you do. The other one was I came back from Asia and I brought a bunch of these sky lanterns. You all know sky lanterns? Brought them to the country. No word of a lie. I came back in 2010 and I brought a few, and my nieces and nephews went completely crazy. It was the most spectacular thing they'd ever seen on the beach. And as you can hear, my brother and I kind of schemed together. He's a brilliant salesman, that guy, and we're full of plans. We're always looking for something new we can sell at a trade show. Because we also did a lot of years in Verimark and did brooms. And if you go into Pick n Pay or go and take a look at the video, there's a much younger version of a guy that looks like me, but it's my brother, selling a broom on TV. Go and take a look at it. If you walk past the Verimark thing and you see somebody selling a broom, just stop and watch him. He's an absolute genius. And I say this because he would stand on a stage like this at the Rand show and at different shows, and he would fill that place with 50 and 100 people wanting to throw money at him for a rubber broom. He did. You must see it to believe it. And he did, I think, if my figures are right, he did 7 or 8 million rands worth of turnover in 1 year
On rubber brooms.
on rubber brooms.
I'm in the wrong industry.
Rubber brooms, guys, it's all about the pitch. And I'll get to it's all about the pitch, about one of my side hustles. It's a beautiful word that I learned in Nigeria is everybody has a side hustle. What you got to
Little
do is get a
passion project.
side hustle, things that do things. But getting back to the lanterns, my brother said, wait a minute, there's a bunch of markets, and we have a house in the wilderness. They were living in George. He said there's Hartenbos, there's Mosselbaai, there's all of them. And I said, okay, cool. I found somebody in China. We imported, I think it was 20,000 of them, if I have my figures correct. In a Christmas holiday, 3 weeks, 100 grand, boof. Nice, like a vakansiegeld. Everybody's getting Christmas presents this year. By just understanding an opportunity. And since then, now everybody's got, sky lanterns in the country. But we took the opportunity, that first chance and that first opportunity. And this is what the current economy allows us to do, the current world we live in. Guys, use the whole world as your hunting ground for ideas. If you see a new idea and a new concept coming out somewhere in Middle Eastern Europe somewhere, and it can work here, grab those ideas. Don't just look for ideas here. Suddenly we're in an economy, we're in the sharing economy, and it also goes with raising of funds, etc., etc. That's a bit of a bigger play around. But the big thing about it is to be able to use everything that's out there, and we really do have access to anything. That's why I think the move from Silicon Valley, that those guys are going to start looking here more. You guys had Vinny here, two episodes ago. And those guys are starting to come back and starting to take a look at things. So
It's actually interesting because we
yeah.
had Paul Simon from who founded YDE. He was on stage last month, and
Yes.
he said that he saw the gap for the little hats for the Soccer World Cup, and he built the company for 6 months, ran it for 6 months, made a massive turnover, closed the doors and walked away because he knew it would only last for that time.
Yeah. So, back to that question about the big break. Big break is sometimes just achieving, getting something out the door and getting it sold. Not necessarily try and build a big business. If we tried to build a Sky Lantern business, we'd all be poor now. Because everybody's going to come. But be first and be fast.
Be first, be fast. What's the difference? You've been in America. Actually, you have been traveling America, but you've worked in Singapore, in UK, with the mobile economy and e-commerce. What is the difference between there and here in South Africa? And how can we capitalize? Because, they're obviously ahead of us on certain things.
An interesting aspect about that is that, and I saw this the first time I went to the UK, is the difference between us and them is in here, what we had back in the day is we only had dial-up. So you have very, very clever guys having to work on very, very thin pipes. Whereas there, they had as much access to information. Even now with like streaming music. Streaming music in the US makes all the sense in the world because they've got uncapped data. So it means nothing if you're sitting streaming stuff. Yeah, it makes a tremendous amount of there's a big problem in it. So they're not ahead of us at all. They're ahead of the usage of it. But if you think back, SMS voting on Popstar or what was that? Idols.
Idols, yeah.
Only came in much later. In the beginning, we'd already been doing it, and they weren't doing it there.
Really?
Yeah, there wasn't. The networks in America weren't prepared to share between each other. When I got to the UK, I drew money at the wall, and I couldn't believe that I didn't get a text message on my phone warning me about it, that I'd been getting, It took them I was in the UK 3 years before they started getting that. We're way more advanced. The people in this room and people in the entrepreneurial space think much better on their feet. They're less comfortable. The guys abroad are comfortable. It's very easy. There's an expression that I sometimes use is that if you've got something to fall back on, that's invariably what you do, is you fall back. That's why I don't like the UK, because they all just live on the dole. Not all of them, but a lot of them, they have this safety cushion if things go wrong. We don't have a safety cushion. If you don't work, if you don't hustle, if you don't make a plan, you don't have a roof over your head. And the guys in Nigeria are like that as well. They're fantastic. Nothing works there. Anybody that can think out a 419 scheme, man, I'm there any day of the week with you thinking of plans like that. Because if you can catch somebody to send you his bank account and give you money for it, it's just absurd, man. Come on. And if you ever go there, they're the greatest people. They're all making plans the whole time because there's no sense of entitlement and there's no handouts. They're all, and that's the dynamic in the entrepreneurship about Africa, is that suddenly there's been this pent-up desire to get on the internet. Suddenly the smartphones are opening it up to everyone. Watch things come out of here.
To learn the art of the hustle, broad, long-term travel seems to be the best education. Ja of nee?
In a heartbeat, yes. Guys, if you have friends, family, kids, if they don't go on a gap year, send them now. If you're sub 35, man, if you're sub 45 and you have a chance, go. Get out there. Go travel, go travel, go travel. Go and see how big the world is. Go and make connections. If you get a chance to go and study overseas, do it. I'm not saying go away. I'm back. Everybody else is starting to come back. It's not, the grass isn't greener on the other side. But
just
go and, this is slightly different. But it only grows, you can only see it for 3 weeks of the year in England. The rest of the time it's all grey. England summer is beautiful, but it's only 2 months of the year. I was there recently, and it's so spectacular. But for the rest, I hated 4 years. I was there 4.5 years. I hated it. It's really not my kind of place.
No,
I like the sun.
You can't go kiteboarding. Seriously.
Or surfing, or go to the beach, or any of those things. And I was like, that's another thing is, don't work so hard that you don't create a lifestyle for yourself. You only get one shot at this game. Just recently lost a very good friend of mine in Singapore at 49, heart attack. Now, guys, really, this is one thing that it's not that important to become. If you do your work well, the millions will arrive. But create a lifestyle. Stop every now and again. My mom has a beautiful thing. She says, if you have enough money for 2 loaves of bread, sell one and buy a rose. Yeah, get some beauty in your life. Make sure of that type of stuff. So go and travel. If you've got the chance, make time every year to go and travel somewhere. Nothing is that important. A lot of people say, no, but I go to work. You know what? Imagine you get hit by a bus for a week. Just do that. You know what? What happens if I get hit by a bus? The rest of the world will survive. Believe me. So go on holiday and make as though you got hit by a bus.
Okay, guys, you can join at, there it is, slido.com, #StartCPT, type it in. Ask your questions, vote the other questions up or down. We're going to still take another 2 or 3 Slido questions, but I think we can also ask a few questions. If anybody has any questions, there's a question right at the back. Jacqueline, can somebody please run along to Jack's? Okay, I'll run along. There we go.
So glad when you're
Is this
someone.
thing on? Okay, there we go, Jax.
Hi, you were just about to start telling us the formula and secret to your Herbalife success, and then we got interrupted, so I want to go back to that. Not that I sell Herbalife, I think it's just an interesting concept to hear your formula.
No problem at all. The key to probably that and a lot of other businesses is, guys, create a 90-day plan. There's friends of mine that have gotten into network marketing recently, and it's a great, great way of doing business. It really is. The logic behind it makes a tremendous amount of sense. But every now and again I see them, every 2 weeks I see them, and they're like, yeah, we haven't started yet. I'm like, 90 days from today, everything you do now will pan out then. You know, it's not only in network marketing, in anything in life. Create 90-day plans. Key to the network marketing stuff was we'd use a specific formula to be able to assist. What I'd do is I'd recruit one person and I'd say, okay, draw up a list of 20 of your friends. And this method, it works to be able to, for you not to alienate your friends. You then phone them up, and we had such a beautiful pitch, and I'll give you the quick one, but listen to it. You'd phone up your friend and say, look, I've just joined a company. I'm not sure if it's good or anything, but I'd like your opinion on it. Could you please come to a presentation? But you know what? My manager from somewhere, think of a country, is here, and he'd like to have a word with you. Then you hand over the phone. And you guys can swap roles. Manager can be anybody. Nobody knows it, but the guy on the other side of the phone thinks I'm thinking to somebody of authority and importance. And then they hand over the phone, and I'm like, look, we're quite busy, but John over here thought that you might be the kind of person that could do well at this, but we'd like your opinion on it. We have a meeting tomorrow night or the night after. Which one would suit you the best?
Any other questions?
That's how you grow a business, guys. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm not sure if you're at liberty to say, but I'd like to know what sort of revenues PriceCheck generates.
Can't share that with you.
Can't share. And then your staff.
Oh, come now,
complement.
come on, Andres. This is a safe place, this place.
You mentioned you've got a staff of about 41.
Yes.
Can you just unpack what sort of people you employ, types of roles?
Yeah, we've probably got about 30% development, 30% marketing and back-end and support, and the other 30% is matching of content and making sure that that if somebody sends a list of products, these things match with each other. Okay.
Okay, next question. Do you think PriceCheck was ahead of its time as e-commerce has been slow on the uptake in South Africa?
Yeah, the whole basis around PriceCheck being ahead of its time is, I think it was just Kevin Tucker had copied it. I don't want to speak for him or out of turn here and why, but he copied the idea from the UK. So it was one of the groundbreaking. That was what e-commerce was going towards. So it's maybe not a question so much directed to, I didn't start it.
Sure.
But I think now we're quite ahead of our time.
Do you think more sites like yours will be coming out?
No, the move towards mobile is going to be big.
Okay.
And the move towards bricks and mortar, what I find is internationally, is the guys are not putting online and offline together.
Oh, internationally.
Yes.
Oh.
You've got Amazon and you've got Walmart. And they're not crossing
you
the
think that's
crossing
where,
the bridge.
that's where the
Watch,
magic is?
watch Amazon buy an offline distribution network very soon. Pick up, click and collect for the offline arena is massive.
Do you guys know about click and collect?
Click and collect is you shop something on a mobile and you have some other payment method or a booking method of a product. Click on it, click on it, and you can then go and collect it. I think Halfords in the UK, 80% of their e-commerce is click and collect.
Yo.
Tesco, 60%. And so locally, Incredible Connection, 85% of their online sales is click and collect.
Because they've got a distributed network, so you can go to a store near you.
People like to go to a store.
Mm.
Delivery is great, but we're never going to solve the long distance problem. And everybody's going somewhere on the weekend. But if I can buy for it on Thursday and collect it on Saturday, we're going to run a test soon on PriceCheck with our catalogs where you can use SnapScan to pay for something. And then we will deliver it. One of the Pargo guys are here with via Pargo. And what Pargo does is it delivers to a Caltex close to you. They got how many? 300 delivery points now, no? How many? Over 200 delivery points. What I like about that is I don't
South
have to sit at
Africa.
home and wait. No? I don't have to sit at home and wait for a parcel. On the way home, when I buy milk and bread, I can someone pick up my parcel. That's nice. Nice. I spoke in the beginning of the year about e-commerce. Guys, if you want to get into e-commerce, all the pieces of the puzzle are here. Don't try and remake everything. You want to build an e-commerce store? Easy. Build the website, list on PriceCheck. And listen to my logic around that. You can go and build an e-commerce store and then buy a ton of Google AdWords and hope somebody finds you. Or you can list with me and Google already spiders my whole site. I spend lots of money for Google AdWords and then Google says product X is on PriceCheck. It must be relevant and we'll put you on page 1. Done. And in the back end, payment gateways, dime a dozen. Delivery methods, all of it is there. It's not difficult to build an e-commerce site, but just use what's available. People have built really clever stuff. Don't reinvent the wheel.
I think he's going to get a flood tomorrow of requests. Okay, one last question. Does anybody have another question? No? Going and gone. Okay. Thank you very much, Andre. Oh, yes. Please tell us. Yeah, there we go.
Can I?
Yeah, go for it. He's going to read for us. Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, this is one thing that it looks like that. It's a little framed thing. My sister gave it to me, I think 15 years ago, probably when I stopped studying. She understood, but she got my mind. She got my head. And it hangs as you in my house right now as you walk out of the main bathroom. It hangs on the wall. And it's traveled with me around the world. And it's called the Entrepreneur's Credo. So I'm going to share it with you because I think it's lovely. So bear with me. It starts as follows. I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon, if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for a dole. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade my freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud, and unafraid, to think and act for myself, to enjoy the benefit of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this, with God's help, I have done. All this is what it means to be an entrepreneur.
Oh, beautiful.
Love that.
So, on those eloquent words, we will now go over to the
Thank
Twitter
you.
competition. So I hope you guys have been tweeting. Oh, you need the microphone. There we go.
Okay, well, thank you very much for those beautiful words and just for the entire night. It was really inspirational.
So glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate it.
So yeah, there were some really amazing tweets. Unfortunately, there can only be one winner. But before we get to that, just a couple of tweets that really, for me, very well summarized. Oh, wow. I've not been drinking. Really well summarized tonight. The first was from the breach. It makes sense now. The man who can sell anything decided to create a platform to sell everything.
That's very good.
And then from Gideon, you can get all the best quotes and advice, but taking that step and starting is the most important factor. And I think that's so true, you know. A lot of us come here, we look for inspiration, we look for motivation, and we go home, and then what? So I challenge you guys, go home tonight, go take what you learned and go put it into action. And next month, on the 6th of August, at Take for Africa at the Cape Town Stadium, come tell us what you did. Tweet us, let us know. And then the winning tweet for tonight says, see the big break as small incremental steps towards your end goal. Never stop learning, never stop looking for opportunities. And that's by Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, come forth. You just won. There he is. Nice one. There, you can hand it over to him. You just won a 19-inch monitor.
19-inch monitor, dude. There you go.
There we
Enjoy.
go. Congratulations. Well done.
Go build a
Nice.
business.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we've got some more prizes to give away. How cool is this? The business card. Pick one. There we go. Oh, Jaya Sheila. Yes, come forth, girl. Okay, so there we go. You can hand that over to. Okay, there she comes. We've drawn another one while she's coming. Khatatso Mecca. He asked a good question. There we go. Thank you very much. Well done. And there we go. You can give it to him. Well done, man.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Hey,
sorry, there
congrats,
we
man.
go. He also gets a Daddy's Deal. Sorry. Oh, no, that's inside there already. He gets a Daddy's Deal voucher. Okay, so we still got some more Daddy's Deal vouchers to give away. Andre, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
You're so welcome, man.
Thank you
Been an
very, very
absolute
much.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, man.
Okay, so he's going to disappear for 5 seconds quickly. Dominique is going to make some. He's from Business Day Live. He's going to take a few questions quickly.
Okay.
And while that's happening, can everybody that has won prizes please go and speak to Jacqueline at the back there? There she is. So if you won a prize, please get it there because we're going to follow up with you and there might be some more prizes and stuff. Your name tags. Can you please hang your name tags over the, as you walk in, there's like a thing that you can hang it over, washing line thing. Hang it over there. You will be drawing something in the next 15 minutes. We'll be drawing this off it, and you'll be winning some more prizes. Other than that, guys, can you please have a wonderful time? Put your hands together for Andre.